welcome to this masterclass with one of the most important German filmmakers and filmmakers of this generation, Ulrike Ottinger. She's one of the most original contributors to contemporary films in various forms. Her art also extends into photography, theater, installation, multimedia installation, and she is a multimedia artist. Her film work has been shown internationally, culminating in retrospectives at Paris Cinematheque and the New York Museum of Modern Art, and her solo shows have spanned across galleries all over the world. She started studying in Paris during the 60s, and then she moved to her native Constance city, where she opened a gallery. Then she went to Berlin and moved on to make films, both narrative films and documentary films. Her career is too vast, diversified for me to sketch in here, but I'll be happy to say more detailed things. What I would like to stress is that her work is original, thought-provoking, visually and culturally complex. She draws on a multidisciplinary practice involving film, photography, anthropology, ethnography, architecture, theater, visual arts, and she touches upon questions of cultural identity, post-colonialism, gender, and queer representation. Her ethnographic films develop a transcultural exploration of various contexts across Asia, Eastern Europe, and offer critical analysis of Europe's Western-centered culture, as well as of Germany's post-unification process. Ottinger's films have expanded the definitions of queer, aesthetic, and normative definition of gender, and her films construe a new subject of vision and pleasure through a very original use of color, costume, Baroque art direction, and a very imaginative use of architecture and landscape. Her interest in the marginal subjects, in history, in anthropology, as I was already saying, in the exploration of the process involved in making films are quite unique. And I think she's going to show a little bit of all of the above. So without further ado.
Before we start, I would just like to introduce Dr. Rosanna Maule to everyone, because you may not know Rosanna Maule. She's a professor in film studies, and I thought it would be appropriate for her to present Frau Ottinger, because it's thanks to you that this whole undertaking of conferring a doctorate degree to Frau Ottinger happened. So thank you, Rosanna.
Yeah, I was about to say that the reason, one of the reasons why it's one of my pleasures is, well, I've presented and I've shown Ulrike's films for a number of years. Some years ago, I presented a series of films at the Cinémathèque Québécoise, and then 2 years ago, during a conference that I did on women and film culture, she was the invited artist. So it's a special pleasure for us to have her here as a very special honorary degree recipient. So thank you for being here, and thank you for doing this master class with us.
So happy to be here and welcome this morning. So I'm thinking we are going straight away into media space, and I like to show you some images, maybe 20 minutes of my fiction film, Joan of Arc of Mongolia. I'd like to show you, is there anybody who knows this film already?
Yes. I have
You
seen
know it?
before this.
Yeah. And So, but most of you haven't seen the film. So, because I brought several films because I didn't know what the people had seen or not. So, because we are going in the middle of the film, relatively in the beginning, I will tell you a little bit about it. I was very interested in Asia, and I studied for a long time all these very interesting and very different kinds of Asian dramaturgies, where dance, music, word, and everything comes in a wonderful way together. It's a kind of amalgam. And I was fascinated by a kind of structure of this dramaturgy, and in general what you have with rhapsodes and so on. It's a very simple, I would say, skeleton, yeah, and it is in the knowledge of the dramaturg to fill it with different things, with the holy, with the daily life, with the burlesque, with everything. And I worked a lot with this kind of dramaturgy. You know, the oldest dramaturgies we have are coming from religion, from kind of processions and so. So often my films are following travel, yeah, and so you have different stations in these travels, and it has exactly to do with this kind of dramaturgy, where in older times the whole history of a group of people, of a village, of a tribe, whatsoever, was told, yeah, from the past or even from the mythological times to now. And even if it happened something actual, it was included in this dramaturgy. So it was open and you could bring everything together, and at the same time it has given a kind of structure, yeah. And this is also important, with all the freedom you have in different directions. So I was thinking it would be interesting to do a kind of encounter between a Western group of travelers who are coming to an Eastern country and unwillingly are pushed out of this train, of this island, of this luxury train of the Trans-Siberian, who in older time transported everybody, poor people, but also very rich people. And in around the turn of the century, the kings had their personal wagons and designed for them, so it was like a very elegant hotel there on the Trans-Siberian Road. They had a lot of artists were working for this to build up this wonderful salon wagons for the corps diplomatique, who traveled, of course, always. And for everybody, you know, you had restaurant wagon, you had music, you had libraries, there was even a church wagon, and sometimes they stopped in the wilderness of Siberia, and people from the villages were coming to have service, yeah, Orthodox Russian service. So, you know, all kinds of things happened around this train. But this is a linear line, like our Western narrations are linear, yeah. And then they are pushed out in Mongolia, and everything is nomadic and different. And I cannot show you now the whole film, but maybe the introduction of the personalities, the Western personalities in the train. So this is something I would like to do. So can we show John of Arc of Mongolia. In fact, it is called Johanna d'Arc of Mongolia. And these 5 words of 5 different languages are already the program of the film, because it is international. It has Johanna, not Jeanne, yeah, for the German Giovanna. There's a girl called Giovanna, so you have the Italian Giovanna. So I like to work, and of course, for the English, and Dark for the French, and Mongolia for the Latin, who at that time was the lingua franca. Yeah, they traveled. So. And then we have the wonderful, mostly of you, I assume, speak French, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, so there's a wonderful Delphine Zwirig in the film, and she speaks French, but it's very nice. This has wonderful
Just
voice.
take care of the front light when we need to. It's right there next to the door.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking maybe we start a little bit later, because we have, I wanted to have
It's hot.
De grausa me tundra.
And then we stop and now, so the real beginning, and then we don't take the titles and we continue.
Tundra. The Wild Wild Tundra. La vengeance d'une orpheline russe. La Siberia extremeña. La toundra sauvage. Die wilde grausame Tundra. En 1581, Yermak Timofeïevitch traverse l'Oural avec ses farouches cosaques et aperçoit pour la première fois ce sera toujours la première fois. Nos lectures, l'imagination, la confrontation avec la réalité. L'imagination doit-elle redouter la rencontre avec la réalité ou bien s'attirent-elles mutuellement? Peuvent-elles s'allier? Sont-elles transformées par leur rencontre? Échangent-elles leur rôle? C'est toujours la première fois. Yermak Timofeïevitch traverse cette frontière entre l'Europe et l'Asie et aperçoit pour la première fois des immenses étendues vertes, le mythe du néant vert. Autrefois, seuls les plus courageux parmi les voyageurs et les marchands chinois osaient s'aventurer jusqu'ici, au cœur du vide le plus vide. Inventant des moyens artistiques, ils créèrent des signes au pays du vide. Un premier essai pour dompter la nature sauvage à l'aide de la nature cultivée. Ils défrichèrent des clairières, dessinant ainsi d'immenses signes dans les forêts de conifères, pour y planter ensuite des chênes. Les signes changeaient de couleur au gré des saisons et étaient visibles de loin. La tentative d'inscrire un signe dans le néant, d'y poser une marque. Les angoisses du voyageur que le vent jusqu'alors poussait en toute liberté à travers les vastes plaines vertes de la taïga étaient alors bannies un instant. Et maintenant, bien plus qu'un signe, cette ligne qui nous conduit au cœur de la nature sauvage endormie, cette ligne, le transsibérien la suit avec la même facilité et la même assurance qu'un doigt, parcourant sur la carte le chemin de l'Europe à l'Asie.
Teilweise waren bis zu 70.000 Arbeiter am Bau der transsibirischen Eisenbahn beteiligt. Eine unglaubliche Leistung. Über 1000 Kilometer musste zum Teil das Material herangebracht werden. Großenteils kam das Rundholz für die Eisenbahnschwellen aus dem europäischen Russland. Wenn andererseits die Taiga Holz im Überfluss lieferte, lag gerade dort über ein halbes Jahr der Schnee meterhoch. Oder im Sommer überfluteten Ströme von Schmelzwasser die Wälder und machten sie unpassierbar. Ein Triumph des menschlichen Willens. Ich bewundere diesen tatkräftigen, tüchtigen Sergei Juljewitsch Witte, ein Deutscher. Ja, hier steht väterlicherseits. Immerhin. Mein Gott, ohne meinen Baedeker wäre ich hier verloren. So erfahre ich wenigstens, was an Wissenswertem hinter all dem Grün steckt. Weiter und weiter kroch der Stahlbaum durch die Wälder Sibiriens.
Melancholie, Monotonie, Monochromie. Guten Morgen, Frau Julia! Gläschen Chai mit Rum. Diese Monochronie legt sich schwer auf mein Gemüt. Green Dreams, mein letztes Musical, war ein großer Erfolg am Broadway. Ich habe 257 Mal das Suite gespielt. Eigentlich mache ich diese Reise nur, um mal was anderes zu sehen. Singen Sie etwas für mich? Melancholie, Monotonie. Nein, nicht dies. Andere Stimmen. In the green, green valley, when the evening sun goes down, my dreams are so green, my means are so green my everything. Yeah, papa, yeah, da, oh, Radmilla, haben Sie denn noch eine von den süßen, kalorienreichen Waffen Makarov-Front? Sie sind eine Frau von hoher Verantwortung. Lecker. Süß. Das bisschen Druckerschwärze werden ihr wohl nicht schaden.
Ja.现在开始吃东西，你要吃吗？自己包，面包不好，不好吃，来一点好吃。对，你的女朋友在哪里啊？你的女朋友在哪里？在中国。笑话，根本就不会在中国，你根本就没去过中国，你怎么去在中国？我老家在。哎呀，这是以前来，山东的，山东的面包，面粉。
Должно быть вкус, чтобы в них вложил большой бог. Красная собачка, потом еще одна кошечка, потом еще собачка, потом еще одна кошечка, потом еще одного петушка.
И тогда эта бабушка взяла эту девочку к себе, рассказывала ей каждый день хорошие сказки.
We continue after the titles.
Ah, merveilleux, merveilleux, ne bougez pas, restez comme ça un instant. Vous me rappelez cette princesse mongole légendaire qui pouvait voler sur son épée magique au-dessus des déserts et des steppes. Mongol Gunch, Setkel Tatar, Gadal Morail et Stager. C'est une cérémonie mongole de salutation.
Ehrwürdiger Mann. Euchige Himmel. Mir wurde geweissagt, dass ich mit Hilfe eines Baumgeistes unter Mitwirkung anderer Naturdämonen geheilt würde.
我知道。我这里有很多的药，这些的药对生病各个方面都有好。这是这是这个神经痛的，这是为了头疼，这个为了肚子疼，和那个为了关节痛，这个药是很好的，你把它在一起，加水，加热，要喝它的汤，要趁热的喝，但是要多休息，不能到外面去，外面风大，冷的不行的，一定要在家多休息，多睡觉。不能抽烟，那好了，这个药很好的，喝了以后肯定会很快好的，不着急的，慢慢的，一定要，但是一定要休息，多睡觉，不要到外面去，那很快的就会好的，不要紧。
Gestatten, dass ich eintrete? Gestatten?
Hi.
Entschuldigen Sie. Pourquoi lui est-ce que
Quelle est cette histoire de princesse mongole volant sur son épée magique?
Elle devait surmonter 7 épreuves et 7 obstacles. Elle triompha de 7 serpents, de 7 tigres, de 7 magiciens, de 7 nuages et de 7 brumes. Elle parcourut en pleurant 7 montagnes et en nageant 7 fleuves, agrippée à la queue de son cheval, son épée magique fixée sur sa tête à l'aide de sa propre natte, nouée à la manière mandchoue. Elle dansa 7 danses, chanta 7 chants, fit brûler 7 fois des herbes en offrande, munie de 7 talismans. Elle se joignit à la marche de 7 démons. Après quoi, il ne lui resta plus qu'à formuler 7 vœux. Tolgor Hussein.
Tja, tja.
Tcha tcha. C'est une histoire fascinante. Je vous la raconterai si vous me faites le plaisir de dîner avec moi ce soir au wagon-restaurant.
Wünschen der Herr Koscher zu speisen?
Na, so orthodox sind wir nicht. Helfen Sie mir. Was soll ich denn essen? Fast alles hat mir dieser Naturgeistliche, das Sie wissen schon, dieser Schamane verboten. Selbst meine heißgeliebten russischen Eier. Also, bringen Sie mir heute nur 6 Stück. Und einen kleinen Kranz Salat Russe. Und ein Schälchen Wurst. Aber vergessen Sie die saure Sahne nicht. Dieser ernsthafte Mensch, der nur an seine Baumgeister denkt. Ein Heiliger in der Einsamkeit der wenigen Tage. Was halten Sie davon? Na, was ist denn? Sie haben ja noch immer nicht meine Vorspeisen bestellt, ich wollte auch so ungern. Von alledem hat er mir abgeraten. Trotzdem, die Mittel oder vielleicht nur sein Anblick haben mich geheilt. Er muss ja was Appetitanregendes gegeben haben. Mir ist heute nach einer Tafel wie zur Bojarenhochzeit. Ein gefüllter, gebratener Schwan in vollem Gefieder. Wie auf diesem dekorativen Bild da. Ein Ölschinken aus dem 19. Jahrhundert des bekannten russischen Meisters Konstantin Markowski. Das kann man wohl nicht verlangen, hm? Eine Sarkuska. Ja, eine stattliche Sarkuska-Tafel. Also schreiben Sie schon.
Eine stattliche Einzahl Sarkuska, Stroh in Aspik oder saurer Sahne, mehrere Sorten Kaviar mit heißer Butter und saurer Sahne, dazu Blini, Perch- und Leberpastete, Nieren in Madeira, marinierte Baumpilze, Salat Olivier, Lachspastete.
Ein Rosenknospenkranz aus Steckrüben. Eine Silberkette aus Perlzwiebelchen. Butterlilien auf tiefschwarz glänzendem Brotteig. Aufblühende Seerosen im Aspikmeer. Schillernde Pfauenräder aus Lauchstängeln, die leuchtend weiße Tundra umkreisend. Eine Seenkette aus saurer Sahne, an die sich zärtlich Silberheringe schmiegen. Waldhuhn auf Moosbank, im blassen Schein phosphoreszierender Baumpilze. Gänseblümchen aus Karotten erblühen auf einer Wiese von Zwiebelringen. Und im ewigen Eis schimmern die köstlich wertvollen Perlen des Kaviar. Graublau, Rosé, vom blassen Opal und tiefschwarzem Onyx. Perlmuttrot oder Safrangelb. Wie viele Sorten Kaviar können Sie überhaupt servieren?
6 Sorten.
Verfügen Sie überhaupt über die Kenntnisse und die Kunstfertigkeit, eine echte russische Sarkuska zu servieren? Beherrschen Sie überhaupt die Techniken der Montage, Collage, des Mosaiks, der Skulptur, Malerei, Farbkomposition und Taxidermie? Auch eine Subrovka von der Farbe des frischen Häusers im Blut. Und noch besser, der leuchtend rote Rubino-Weiher. Ein wenig scharf, nach Vogelbeere schmecken und von der Aufreizung.
Bitte einmal das Touristenmenü für Pauschalreisende. Ober! Ober!
Noch ein Touristenmenü. Bitte nehmen Sie doch hier Platz.
Hi! Sehr erfreut.
Das mit Holzkohlenpulver bestreut wurde, wird das Pulver von aromatischen Hölzern stammte. Und auch das pulverisierte Bastgeweih eines Hirsches. als Gegenmittel für meine Genusssucht ausreichend sind. Alles zusammen hat mir der Schamane für 800 Rubel überlassen.
Unterdrückung und Abhängigkeit den Anschein von Objektivität verleiht.
Ja, für Frauen waren die Karten schon immer auf subtile Weise gezinkt. Apropos, gezinkte Karten. Im Herbst starten wir am Broadway mit einem neuen Musical. Die 4 Tigerinnen von Dakota. The 4 Wildcats from Dakota. Eine verrückte Geschichte mit 4 Frauen. Helen Black ist Spezialistin für gezinkte Karten. Kansas City Kitty, eine Schützin von Rang. Das bin ich. Manny Marker, Experten im Messerwerfen. Und Berta Bonney, eine überwältigende Ringerin. Als Damen von Welt gekleidet sind wir eine Sensation in den Städten, in denen wir auftreten. Und erobern die Gunst des Publikums in Flüge. Es endet mit einem Postkutschenüberfall. Wir entwaffnen den Schrecken von Dakota und entlarven ihn als Pranhans. Eine vergnügliche Western-Satire.
C'est une artiste américaine célèbre, Fanny Ziegfeld. Sa carrière a commencé lorsqu'elle était encore enfant, comme Shirley Temple. Elle a obtenu un succès mondial dans Sunny Side Up. Mais penchons-nous plutôt sur les mystères de la princesse qui volait dans les airs, ou ceux des dieux éléphants, ou ceux des esprits infernaux et des démons animaux des Mongols. Cependant, nous devrions commencer par commander à dîner.
Französischen Champagner?
Non, non, non. Donnez-nous de la vodka et une eau minérale Borgioli.
Auf meinen ehrwürdigen Urahn, Nikolai Nikolajewitsch Murawjow, der schon 1865 die fantastische Idee hatte, eine Pferdebahn mit beheizbaren Wagen für die Passagiere von der Moskwa quer durch die sibirische Wildnis bis zur Mündung des Amur zu bauen. Seen und Flüsse sollten auf Flüssen überquert und die Berge mit doppelten oder dreifachen Gespannen bewältigt werden.
Ihr Urgroßvater war für die damalige Zeit schon fast ein Revolutionär.
Ja, eine große Revolutionär. Unbestechlich. Ungewöhnlich in der damaligen Zeit für einen Mann in seiner Position. Er kämpfte für die Aufhebung der Leibeigenschaft der Bauern. Zar Nikolaus I. ernannte ihn persönlich zum Generalgouverneur von Ostsibirien. Er störte sich nicht an seiner liberalen Einstellung, denn er sah weiter in die Zukunft. Es gelang ihm Reformen, die ihm für ganz Russland vorschwebten, teilweise in Sibirien zu verwirklichen, das er mit pulsierendem Leben erfüllte. Später erhob der Zar ihn in den Adelstand. Während eines Aufenthaltes in Paris starb er und wurde auf dem Friedhof Montmartre beigesetzt.
À votre santé.
Est-ce que ce sont les jeux équestres dont
vous nous avez parlé?
Je ne sais pas ce qui se passe. Et je ne suis sûre que d'une chose, c'est qu'il ne s'agit pas d'un jeu. Elles portent leurs armes comme au combat. C'est sérieux. Eh bien, vous ferez exactement la même chose à la première rencontre. Vous m'entendez? C'est la seule façon de faire.
Wie aufmerksam hier anzuhalten, damit wir dieses aufregende Schauspiel besser betrachten können. Diese exzentrische Lady. Ich weiß nicht, ob das für das junge Mädchen gut ist.
Ich glaube, Sie verkennen die Situation. Suchen Sie lieber nach einem Geschenk, bevor man sie ausraubt.
Glauben Sie?
Senbeno.
Hasenben.
Sen.
지월이 허훈에 따올라 남이 따가 많이 있는 거죠.
Elle nous emmène. Elle prend en otage toutes les étrangères du train. Si nous obéissons à leurs lois, nous n'avons rien à craindre. Je ne crois pas que nos vies soient en danger. Pour elle, l'hospitalité est quelque chose de sacré.
Mais pourquoi je comprends
Reste
pas?
en calme.
Wir müssen unbedingt etwas unternehmen. Unsere Botschaften benachrichtigen, aber wie? Kein Telefonmann.
Ich mal ein Telegrafenmast.
Glauben Sie, dass die Lady mit dem Banditinnen unter einer Decke steckt? Wenn ich dran denke, wie sie das junge Mädchen überredete, auch die transmongolische zu nehmen.
So, we stop here. Yeah. Thank you. So you see how the travelers, the Western travelers, are forced to get to know another culture. So this is in the film, you know, in the first part, you have like a museum of the Western culture with all the objects and of different times, of course. So at the same time, it tells history of the Trans-Siberian Railroad from the beginning until now. And you know, we were even at when the wall was still on in Berlin, we were the Trans-Siberian once a week stopped at the station Berlin Zoo So I were sending my people to exchange things to get all the details from the train. Yeah, so it was a very interesting time in a way. And then I don't know if you saw it in the, of course, when you have it on a big screen. Yeah, this is a film you really have to see in 35 on a big screen. Yeah. Then you see the landscapes and all the details also in the Trans-Siberian. So even in the different compartments, they are all staying for a certain time. Yeah. A lot of great artists have worked for the Trans-Siberian. By example, Gropius made a compartment, and I designed it a little bit in the compartment of Lady Windermere, of Fanny Ziegfeld, the Fanny teacher, and Fanny Ziegfeld. And then the car of Lady Windermere has more the character of a salon wagon. And then I put in the third class wagon, I put all the paintings. They were made in the communist time in Russia, you know, when Lenin greeted the different Mongolian tribesmen, yeah, with the hadak, you know, this is what the ceremony you saw, yeah, where they have this. So I also in the background, yeah, or you have the Bolshoi ballet, old images from the Bolshoi ballet. So I took really, it was important for me to show all these details of the history. But it is also a film about narration. In the first part, of course, I cannot show you everything, only some little parts. In the first part, you have the narration, different narrations. There is a fantastic musical thing afterwards, yeah, with where our narration is normally linear. And so all these things are told. Yeah, everybody is telling his own history, and then the Mickey Katz is made after a famous figure from the 20s, 30s, from the entertainer from the Yiddish music hall. In Lower East Side in New York, and he were existing, and he at that time he even traveled with the Trans-Siberian to Harbin, yeah, where a big Jewish community was, and they had even an opera, but also a Yiddish theater. So he were performing there, yeah. So I tried to make the whole history, what later on played also a role in my documentary, yeah, the whole Jewish emigration, the Russian, much earlier, when the pogroms started. This is why Harbin and a lot of Siberian places where a lot of Jews went after the pogroms of the beginning of the 20th century in 1996. There were famous and terrible pogroms. And so they went to Siberia. They had more freedom and were far away from these dangers. So when I later made the exile, Shanghai, Jewish exile to Shanghai, yeah, I included all these historical things. It's a documentary again. So the film, yeah, with all this baroque and funny things, in a way is also based on a history who is of course told in a way for a fiction film, and at the same time gives you a lot of information also. And for me, the surrounding from the costume to the decor is always very important, because it tells, it's like in an image, like in a Baroque image, yeah, where every detail had a meaning and told you something. This is a little bit my interest in film. And in a time, you know, when images are only made to passing away very fast, yeah, in seconds, yeah. In my images you have to see, and it is like a text, you can read it, yeah. The colors have a meaning, the color dramaturgy. But I started with that it is also a film about narration. So in the western part you have the narration of Fanny Ziegfeld. Later on she is singing, and you have this kind of Broadway musical entertainment. You have Mickey Katz is singing wonderful Yiddish things we wrote. I wrote, and then this kind of music, and then the narration of Lady Windermere, who is a kind of guide through the film. In the beginning, when she is telling what happened, yeah. This is the program of the film. It's like in an opera, when the protagonists are coming in the opera and they're saying, this is, they are explaining what they are themselves, what they are going to do, and what their goal is in the film. And this is Lady Windermere in the introduction scene, yeah, when she's telling what's going on if the reality meets the fantasy, and can they are they opposite to each other, or what happens? This is a very interesting process I'm asking myself until now, yeah, really. And so this is a kind of program. Then the teacher, yeah, is a little bit always worried and always a little bit nationalistic, little bit, you know, narrow-minded, yeah. And then the Fanny Ziegfeld, yeah, comes from her background. And so it's interesting how all these people afterwards in Mongolia is reacting to the different things. And it's also a film about cultural misunderstandings and also understandings, yeah, both. So this, I think it's more of my funniest film I have done. No, if you think on 12 Chairs, this is the only film I made after Russian novel from two fantastic Odessit writers, and it's shot completely in Ukraine in 2000. And I traveled with them the whole Ukraine, from north to south, from east to west, from the Danube Delta to the Donetsk, to this industrial area, to the Crimean, around the coast of the Crimean, in the middle the Crimean mountains and all this. So this is an other story where the conflicts of the old Tsaristic Russia, it was written in 1927, and the new socialistic things are clashing. Yeah, it's a it's a fantastic novel. 12 Chairs, very famous in Russia and all the eastern countries. So, but I'm not able to show it parts of it today. But these are the two very funny and amusing films I made. So, I forgot one thing for Joan of Arc of Mongolia, and then in Mongolia you have the epic time. Yeah, in Mongolia everything is different. It's like a reflection of the first part, but you have the epic time and you have also the history in an old Mongolian epic form. I was able to find the old rhapsodes, these singers who are going in winter from yurt to yurt, and they are staying for a while, for some days, and they are singing their great epopees, where also actual things are included, what I said in the beginning. And you know, even in these old epics, even we could not ride on these wild horses, and we made mistakes. So they included in their epics little burlesque scenes where they made fun of us, yeah, and of our. So this was wonderful. Yeah, this is why I think this is such a fantastic dramaturgy, who includes, is able to include everything, yeah, and this is exactly what I'm looking for, yeah. But now you will have questions, and yeah.
Hi, I'd like to know a little more about like your process. Do you travel when you get to a place and say, okay, I have to make a film here? Do you have characters that you need and you bring them in? What's your process for building something like this?
Mm-hmm. You know, normally when I'm doing a masterclass, I have with me my books, yeah, and it starts, you know, this starts very early. It has to do with a lot. You know, this is what you call fundus. This is something you are. You have in your head a kind of storage, yeah, and then but I have also, I'm making books, I'm collecting a lot of materials, I'm doing photos, but you know, I couldn't travel in Mongolia at that time. It was just forbidden, yeah. And so I had this, Mongolia is a special case. I was fascinated since my childhood, and I knew already 100 words of Mongolian. I didn't learn in my Latin, but I learned by myself all the Mongolian things I could get because I was so interested. And I was very fascinated with culture, with the nomadic culture. So it started very, very early. And of course, I'm familiar with Western culture. So I'm doing books. You know, I have an enormous collection of material. I cut out things from newspapers, photos. I'm doing copies of photos. I'm drawing things. I started as a painter, as an artist, so I'm doing drawings, everything, yeah, and I'm doing photos. But I couldn't travel to Mongolia, yeah, and then so I went to all the museums, yeah, but this was my interest. I have done it 20 years before already, yeah. And then you bring everything together. And I had read practically everything in every language I could understand. Yeah. So in French, in English, in Latin, in German, what was on Mongolian history, Mongolian epics. There are a lot of epics who are translated. There are hundreds of versions of the so-called Gezer Khan, this history of Mongolia. And then I came across a story of around the 16th century, a little bit later, there was in the Buddhistic world, and in Mongolia it's Lamaistic, it's a melange between Buddhist and older beliefs, older animistic beliefs, and shamanism. So at that time there was a kind of reformation parallel to the European Reformation. If you look at the dates, this is very strange in religion, where the Catholic were separated from the Protestant, and there you had in the Buddhistic world a kind of also a kind of reformation, and the old were called the red caps, and the new were called the yellow caps, and they had this big monastery, Kumbum, very famous monastery. And then a lot of the men, Mongolian men who were great warriors, were becoming very religious, and they left their yurts, their homes, their tents, and left the women behind. But the women anyhow were very strong. Also before, they had to go with the herds to some places, and so it was quite normal, because when the men were in the war, they were also alone. So it was, and then one day some of the noble Mongolian women decided to go to the monastery and to make offerings, and then bandits took away on the way all their offerings, were very precious things, and all their animals also. They had to travel with the herds; they couldn't leave them behind. So therefore, they are traveling very slow. It's a very interesting, highly fascinating society. So I got across this story. And after, and I made new epic, from this, oriented on the old. Then I went to Mongolia, and I asked some people who spoke German to translate it. And then we were coming together with musicians, the old epic singers, and they brought it in their rhythm. But I had so much music that it was in German already written in this rhythm. And then we had to. I found these wonderful old singers. And so. I could, in Mongolia, I could really work with the best representatives of Mongolian culture. But you asked how it comes together. This was just a detail. And then, so I'm collecting all this. I'm writing, and at the same time, I wrote letters and letters and letters. And with famous Mongolists, I discussed it, how I could go there, and people who could help me. And finally, I was invited, it was fantastic, in Munich. They had a great Mongolian exhibit. And so there I met some interesting people. And they were fascinated that I'm fascinated by Mongolia and Mongolian culture. So they were helping me, so I could go. But this was a southern Mongolia, who is so-called independent Chinese provinces. Like Tibet, unfortunately, it's not. And so I had there to discuss this very long, and then finally I could travel. So I traveled twice in winter to go to Mongolia to find all the people, but they are nomads, so when you go back you have to find them again. But it's not an easy process, and but I got all these people, and they wanted all come together, yeah, with their families, with their, when I have chosen this old man, he said, yeah, but I have to come with my niece and I have to come with my animals. So finally we had a camp who was enormous, yeah, and all the people were coming together with their yachts, but this was of course for the film fantastic, and we made a big feast. But the preparation is really, I worked on, I have all the texts written by myself, the Mongolian text, the English text, the Italian, the German. Of course, they were then translated, but then it's really a pity I couldn't bring it. So heavy, yeah, and I'm on a long travel. I couldn't bring it with me. You know, it's really big like this, and I think it has 12 kilogram or something, because it's like this and has all the things inside.
We're going to go to the short, but you haven't even talked about the costumes. She did all the costumes based on the original sketches.
And then on the second travel, I took the costume woman with me, that she can see all this. But before, I had also on my travels in India and others, I were buying all the silk and, you know, hundreds and hundreds of meters in the colors of the Mongolians. And I had found a wonderful book with Mongolian costumes and all the details of the different banners, what they call the different groups, yeah, with their different style of costumes. I was then able to find from mostly of the banners people who were cooperating and added their information, yeah. And I had a wonderful old lady who were helping me with Mongolian rituals, yeah. And yeah, so all the things were coming together. And then when I have the places, yeah, after the travel, I made a storyboard, yeah. And I made all this storyboard, all the drawings are also in this book. So in this book is everything from the addresses, the people I met, until all the text, the photographs, details, yeah. This is the way how I'm working, yeah. It's step by step, and then to have from your own I don't know what you say, fundus, it's a German word in your head, you know, but what you remember and what comes up in this context. Yeah. Yeah.
Ulrike, you spoke very eloquently the other day, Friday, about your experience as a young artist.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a question about your process. I'm just like extending that question. A film like this requires a lot more people, obviously, logistics, producers, some funding, and you were talking about how, as a 20-year-old, you moved to Paris to settle and start a career as an artist and a filmmaker, and how do you, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you get from that stage to being able to put a production like this together, and having all these people collaborate with you, and all the logistics, like a train in the middle of Siberia that you can stop at will, and and so on and so on.
I cannot tell you my whole life.
But since we have an audience here of people who are going forward, and
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like this,
yeah.
Maybe you can say a few things.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is a long history. Yeah, so you know, I was 20 when I went to Paris, and it has becoming, of course, a kind of eye-opener for me. I got a lot of to know a lot of very interesting people, and I was very active to get to know, and I wanted to know. Yeah, so I was really had this passion, yeah, to just to know things, yeah, and I always were so amazed from people who could do all these fantastic things, yeah, and knew all this, yeah. And yeah, I wanted also become a person like this. So it was, you know, what you are doing when you are young. Yeah, you start, and I think if you catch fire for something, yeah, then something happened. Yeah, then you go forward and you continue, yeah, because I know I made a speech because I was asked to do something for the students, yeah, so I made a speech, but there were most elderly people, yeah. And not you, yeah, but no, I'm not doing this speech, yeah, but I will tell you, this is how to say it, I had a lot of people who were helping me, yeah, to get to know things, yeah, and I went by myself to the Collège de France to hear Claude Lévi-Strauss, and I was completely fascinated. How he saw the different cultures and the world, and had this really open, he opened everything, yeah, and there are scientists who are closing everything, yeah, and he is somebody who opened your world, yeah. And I always knew how important his thinking, his kind of thinking, was how important it was to me. But when now sometimes in retrospectives I see my films again, yeah, I can really hear him, yeah, talking about something, and how important it is that you can only understand your own culture if you compare it with another, because then you have another point of view on your culture, yeah. And therefore it is for everyone so important to travel and to get to know, maybe also to struggle with other things, yeah. And this was always something very important for me, and this was a starting point for me to see the world in this way, yeah. And I had it already from my family, because I grew up in a family and there were 3 religions, yeah. And so I was becoming an expert, as a very young age, an expert to compare the different religions. This was nobody was really religious in my family, you know. But I got to know the different beliefs, yeah. And this was also a very good starting point, yeah, for me. And I think it is something, if you get interested in something, and then you work on this, and the more you get to know about this, as it becomes always more interesting, more fascinating, yeah. And then you make, you go to associative points, yeah, and they multiply and multiply, yeah. And this is how it works. This is a kind of system, and you have just to start. You have just to get interested in something, really fascinated by something. And there is something I always wanted to say. I also had my crises in different ages, yeah. very heavy crisis. But you know, it is normal. It is completely normal in a process of work to have a crisis. Yeah, and you have to know this and not to get desperate. I had also to learn to write. Yeah, and then also the daily life. Yeah, to look. You know, in my documentaries. You know, this is maybe really the difference in the documentary and in the fiction or feature film. You know, when I made my film China, the Arts, the People, it's a documentary. I traveled through China. I made it before Joan of Arc of Mongolia. And there, you know, each pen and it's like a little story, yeah. And I was staying with the people. Then others were coming, looked at me, so I'm seen in their eyes and their reaction, yeah. And and you have to stay on it, and then it becomes interesting, yeah, because how people react towards the camera, yeah, and forget all this what they are saying. People shouldn't look at the camera; they should do it, yeah. This is not. It was from the beginning, you know, when I'm going to the fish market in Odessa. Yeah, it's fantastic. All these women who are making fun and, you know, are selling their fish. And then you are talking with them, and they see immediately that you are not a tourist, that you have another interest. Not immediately, maybe after a while, yeah. And then, you know, I were filming them, and with the other eye I looked here, so the camera, no, it was the time before you not over the display, yeah, you really look, I made everything in 35 or 16. And so you look through, and with the other eye, I looked at them, yeah. And sometimes I made even a sign to them, though it was a dialogue. And it is a kind of smiling conspiracy, yeah, with the people. They know that they are filmed. I know that they are filmed, and so if you look at them and not, you know, try to not to show that you are filming, then it becomes something. Of course, if sometimes people don't want it, yeah, then just leave it, yeah, never do this. But mostly of the people, if you look at them, they are interested, yeah, to have a conversation with you. They are also curious, yeah. I'm curious. They are also curious, yeah. And sometimes I'm so bored about this exotic discussion. Everybody is curious, yeah. The people you are visiting, and also the people wants also to know what you are doing, what do you think. I were singing all the romantic songs I were singing with my mother for the Mongolians, and they just liked it, yeah, in the evenings. And so, you know, it is an exchange. It has to be on the same highs, yeah. And then everything is fine. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, you know.
I think we're going to start wrapping it up. It has to be soon. So maybe if there's any like quick question, comment.
Did you want to show something else, Ulrike?
Yeah, you know, we can discuss something. And what time is it now?
It's 11:40.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
there isn't much time left.
Yeah. So what we can do, this is you ask a question, and the people who wish to stay and to see something, if there are a lot of people or some who like to see, then I'm willing to show a short. This is up to you. You can say it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. The short film? Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but can you talk about
Yeah. I'll ask it.
Can
Yeah.
you talk about casting a little bit, about the process of
Oh,
casting?
this is so different. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Which
Yeah.
short is it?
that's what I want to know. Which short? Is it Image or? Which
Is here somebody who knows Usine Image? No, then we show Usine Image.
Yeah,
It's the
something
shortest
else.
of all the shorts. So 10 minutes and we show. So then I say something about we can talk. Then I say something about Usine Image. I made in Berlin from 79 to 83 three films, fiction films, were called the Berlin Trilogy. And then I was asked to do a film for the opening of La Sept Arte. It's a French-German television cultural channel, big channel. Yeah, is still art is still existing today, and they wanted for their first emission have three Berlin poems, though they asked the filmmakers to do short Berlin poems. And this is what I have done. I have taken scenes out of the three films, and it's a montage with, I like to do mise en scène in existing locations, yeah? And so I had some industrial landscapes, all kinds of landscapes, you will see it. So I made it for the first, it's a French-German channel, for the first emission. I made this film. So it's a 10-minute film and we can see it.
exotique dans un lieu si banal, un bal de presse. Ah, Dorian.
The mise en scène is transforming this the very same locations, yeah. Yeah, it can stay like a little bit an introduction into how I'm working, yeah, yeah. But is there time that she can ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was interested in a lot of different things. My mind's a little
Yeah.
blank right now.
Yeah.
Like if you could talk about the casting decisions and
Yeah,
the process that you
yeah, yeah.
like in these
Yeah,
that
you know, this is very different. Sometimes, so with wonderful Delphine Serik, I got to see her films when I was very young. But at that time, I would never have assumed or hoped that I ever would have been able to work with her. And then finally, we made 3 great fiction films together. So I knew her, and I adored her way to speak and to move. And then I had her in mind, by example. The same is with Magdalena Montezuma, another actress. I worked several times, and she was an actress of the German independent cinema of Werner Schröter and others. And with her I worked a lot. And then, of course, there is people you know. And then, but if you go to a country like Mongolia or to Odessa, you don't know the people before. So you have to see and then to travel, and then you ask them if they would willing. And there are actors and non-actors. And I always liked very much to combine highly professional actors with people who is just, you know, I think, oh, they should be perfect for this role. Yeah. So, for example, the waiter in Joan of Arc of Mongolia, I think he has a fantastic face. And he was engaged as a musician. You couldn't see it because that I worked after a novel, an existing novel, yeah, The 12 Chairs. And then I asked the casting, yeah, and I wanted to have from all the different Russian theater schools. So I had a lady from the opera, I had actors from the modern theater, and I wanted to have this style, burlesque style of old Russian cinema, yeah, but I had also modern actors, yeah, who made, you know, American psychodramas or whatsoever, yeah, and this was a highly interesting combination, and it was one of the craziest sessions I had with all these people, yeah. So it depends, you know. It is always different, yeah. And then I wanted to do a film I could never do because it was too expensive. And there I had highly professional casting sessions in New York, 5 different casting sessions where I photographed the people, and also there I wanted to have different people from, so I had old ladies from the Yiddish theater, what I needed. I had young actors, I had them casted, and at the last moment this project crashed. This was really my Waterloo, this film, yeah, it was a catastrophe, yeah, in every means. But this was only thing I couldn't do it, but and I needed a lot of young men from New York, the interesting-looking men. And 1 year later, they were all casted by Scorsese. Yeah, you know, I have the photos, all of them. Yeah, and at that time they were not famous. Yeah, Buscemi and all these famous guys. Yeah, at that time. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you. Thank you to you.